All right, we are following breaking news. Stormy Daniels and the sketch. Stormy Daniels and her attorney have promised for quite some time now that they would be releasing a sketch of the man that Stormy Daniels says threatened her years ago to stay quiet about her alleged affair with Donald Trump and threatened her while she was with her child. She's now speaking out. They're releasing the sketch. Let's watch this bit together.
Stormy, you recently sat down with a forensic artist, a very well-known one, who created a sketch of the alleged suspect based on your memory from that day. And now you're ready to reveal that sketch for the first time. Can we take a look at that with you?
Oh.
There you go.
And to your recollection, is that the person that threatened you?
Absolutely.
Looks exactly like that person?
Stormy, why did you feel like you couldn't go to the police originally when you were threatened?
Well, two things. First of all, I was scared. It was expressly what he told me not to do. And I went home and regrouped and I was going to, because I always feel like you should stand up for yourself and you should report it. But the problem with that in this particular instance I would have gone to the police and would have gone, okay, a man approached me. This is what he said to me. He told me to leave Mr. Trump alone. And their very next question, the detective would have asked me, why would somebody tell you to leave Mr. Trump alone? And I would have had to answer that question, which was not public at the time. And I would have had to tell an entire police department, and police reports are public record. I know that for a fact. I had sex with Donald Trump. And then the whole world would have known. And I was in the process of trying to quiet that or figure out what to do. And honestly, I was just afraid, and I didn't want everyone to know. I didn't want my family to find out that way. I didn't want my life turned upside down.
When you were speaking to news organizations, though, and Michael, maybe you can talk to this too, including ABC, you never brought up the threat. So why now?
Because I knew I would be asked the question that you were asked. You just asked me, why didn't you say anything? And I did tell quite a few people, actually, from back then. And
who did you tell?
I told family members and 2 friends and people that I worked with.
And I mean, it's obvious she just didn't sit down with this sketch artist and, fabricate this. This is a very detailed sketch, and it was created by a woman by the name of Lois Gibson. She has the world record for the most identification. She works with the FBI and law enforcement all around the country, and she found Stormy to be very credible and is highly confident in the sketch, and we hope that it's going to result
in awe of your memory.
All right, so they released the sketch just now, and they're also, I'm being told, they're offering a $100,000 reward, Stormy Daniels, her attorney, for anyone who can positively identify this man, the man in the sketch. MJ Lee is here. CNN's MJ Lee is here. Caroline Polisi still with me. MJ, you've been watching this. You've been following this very closely, and now this moment plays out. What happens now?
I think that we all didn't think that all of this could get more theatrical and dramatic, but there you have it. We have this sketch now. We have this announcement of a $100,000 award for somebody who can provide information about this man that is being described. Just to remind everyone, this is going back to an incident in 2011 when Stormy Daniels says a man approached her in a Las Vegas parking lot and threatened her and told her to leave Donald Trump alone. The context here, of course, is that she had agreed to tell a magazine her story about her alleged affair with Donald Trump, and this is when the man came. She says that she had her infant daughter in the back seat, so obviously she says this threat was very scary and serious. I don't know if everyone can see the inscription that was on the top of the sketch. Just for everyone's information, it says the man is described as being somewhere between 5'9" to 6 feet tall, in his 30s to early 40s. He is lean but fit. Now, I just want to remind everyone that this is 7 years later, and Stormy Daniels is insisting that even though many years have passed, the memory of his face is really burned into her memory, and she could ID him even to this day. But I think another sort of legal context that is very important to keep in mind is that this sketch and this man actually has nothing to do with the lawsuit. The lawsuit that she has filed against Michael Cohen, that Donald Trump is involved in, has nothing to do with this threat. It has to do with her wanting to get out of this NDA. The reason she is doing this is, one, I think, because they very much want to stay relevant and want to stay in the headlines. But I think in the bigger picture, they want to paint a picture of a woman who is a victim, something nefarious that is going on with either Donald Trump or some of his associates. That is sort of the image that she would like to paint as this lawsuit is sort of going on a parallel track.
What do you think, Caroline? Because that's exactly what I was going to ask. How does this man, this sketch, how how is this key to the puzzle that we are looking at?
Right. Well, we've heard from Michael Avenatti on and off over the course of the past few weeks playing coy. Remember, he was set to release this image earlier, and then he stated kind of somewhat coyly on the network news stations that he had been asked, and he couldn't say by whom, to hold off on it. And he sort of intimated that, look, he's working with federal investigators in the Southern District of New York, because in the next breath, he then went on to praise the Southern District of New York prosecutors and investigators.
So how is this playing then?
Well, certainly, it seems like there's definitely more to this story. I think it has Keith Davidson's fingerprints all over it. I think that that's going to be sort of the next guy to go down in this investigation. Look, prosecutors don't believe in coincidences, and so the fact that Keith Davidson was a lawyer for all of these women in the hush money agreements on the other side with Michael Cohen, that's not a coincidence, and I think that's where it's going next.
And the most immediate, what does law enforcement do with this sketch? A detailed sketch, but one that's 7 years, from a memory, 7 years ago, and they're putting it out in the public.
Right. Well, this is not a law enforcement sketch, just to be clear. So Avenatti and Stormy Daniels sort of took this on themselves. Now, it's not to say that state investigators in Las Vegas or Nevada, if you will, would be interested in this. This really isn't a federal issue. This is more of a sort of a state criminal issue.
That's interesting. What else now?
I mean, I think you bringing up Keith Davidson is really, really key. Remember, this is the lawyer who was involved in both the Stormy Daniels case, but also Karen McDougal. And last week, we found out that he had a role in the Elliot Broidy case. This is the Republican fundraiser who a woman accused him of impregnating her, and then she was paid to not speak about this affair. You're starting to see in all of these cases a pattern of behavior and potential pattern of certain people being involved in all of these issues, right? Whether it's Michael Cohen, whether it's Keith Davidson. And so you start to wonder, people that are close to Donald Trump, for how many years were they sort of regularly involved in this practice of trying to keep certain people quiet about information that they would find not flattering or not helpful either to their political careers or their public lives?
So Stormy Daniels speaking out, they're releasing this long-awaited sketch now, $100,000 for any information that would lead to the identification of the man in that sketch.